Right now, in America, more than 1 in 4 households is officially car poor. And auto loan debt has exploded past an unbelievable $1.62 trillion, the highest level in history. The average new vehicle payment has crossed $750 a month, and millions of Americans are now signing loans that stretch 7, 8, even 10 years into the future, terms that used to only exist for mortgages, not cars. Even crazier, over 25% of people who bought a car in the last 2 years are upside down on their loan, meaning they owe more than the car is worth, sometimes by $10,000 or more. And yet, this is the landscape we live in. You're driving home after a long shift, scrolling through the same 3 radio stations, and suddenly here it comes, a brand new truck the size of a small condo slides into your lane. Chrome grills sparkling, LED lights glowing like a spaceship, and a suspension so tall it looks like it was designed for a superhero. You look at it and think, man, that must be nice. They must be doing well. But statistically, they're not. The numbers tell us the driver of that $80,000 truck probably earns the same or even less than you do. They're just buried under a payment that's eating their paycheck from the inside out. And this is the part nobody wants to admit. The number one wealth killer in America isn't rent, it's not inflation, and it's not groceries, it's transportation. Cars are the only major purchase we make that lose value every single day, yet we treat them like trophies. The average American household now spends more on car payments, insurance, fuel, and repairs than they invest, save, or put toward retirement. The thing sitting quietly in your driveway is costing you more than your dreams are earning. And that's exactly why so many people feel stuck, stressed, and financially squeezed, even when they're working harder than ever. The system is designed to make you believe these payments are normal, expected even, but today we're breaking down the truth. How this trap forms, why it's getting worse, and the specific mistake that's keeping millions broke without even realizing it. Let's break down exactly where the financial bleeding is happening, because once you see the numbers, it becomes painfully obvious why so many people feel stuck. Month after month, people convince themselves that rent is the problem, or groceries are the villain, or inflation is the monster under the bed. But when you zoom out and look at the spending data across America, one category stands out like a flashing warning sign. Housing? Yes, it's the biggest line item, but it gives you a place to sleep. Taxes? No one loves them, but they at least fund something. Utilities and household bills? Annoying, but manageable with a few phone calls or switching providers. Even food, entertainment, and shopping can be trimmed when needed. But then you get to transportation specifically, the cost of owning and maintaining a car, and suddenly everything makes sense. The average new car price in America has ballooned to nearly $48,000, and that number alone should make your wallet sweat. Car payments, insurance, fuel, repairs, maintenance, parking, every part of this category is a financial vacuum cleaner, sucking up your future. And unlike housing, which appreciates, or taxes, which fund infrastructure, your car loses value every single day. Millions of people are unknowingly pouring wealth into something that's plummeting in worth from the moment they drive it off the lot. That's why transportation isn't just an expense. It's the silent wealth killer hiding in plain sight. And before you think I'm exaggerating, the data gets much, much worse. The cost of keeping a vehicle on the road has exploded so aggressively over the last 20 years that more Americans than ever are becoming something I call car poor people, who technically can afford their car, but can't afford anything else. And the scary part? Most don't even realize it's happening until they're deep in the trap. Let's dive into exactly how this trap tightened around the entire country. Now let me show you how we ended up in this mess, because the numbers are genuinely shocking. Over the last 2 decades, the amount of money Americans owe on their cars hasn't just increased, it has exploded. Back in 2005, total auto loan debt sat at about $720 billion. That's a big number, sure, but manageable for a country of over 300 million people. Fast forward a few years to 2010, and that number climbed to roughly $850 billion. Then things got wild. By 2020, auto debt had blasted past $1.3 trillion. And today, We're sitting at an all-time high of over $1.6 trillion owed on vehicles that are losing value every single day. This is how people fall into what I call the car poor loop. It's when someone earns enough to cover the car payment, but not enough to actually build wealth at the same time. Their entire financial life becomes a treadmill running just fast enough to not fall off, but never moving forward. And the reason people willingly step onto this treadmill is simple: image. More Americans than ever are prioritizing how they look over how they live. The car industry knows this better than anyone. They spend billions tapping into your emotions, confidence, status, desirability, convincing you that a new car will transform your identity, your reputation, even your dating life. What they don't show you is the reality. Sitting in traffic on a gloomy Tuesday afternoon with a $600 repair bill due this week and a $900 payment due next week, the truth is blunt but important. People aren't paying for transportation. They're paying for validation. And that validation is costing them decades of potential wealth. Before we go any deeper, we need to unpack the next big trap, and it's one that most people fall into without even realizing it. Now, here's where the trap tightens, because most people aren't just overpaying for cars. They're overpaying for cars they don't even own anymore. And it happens through one of the most damaging financial mistakes in America today: negative equity. This is when you owe more on your car than the car is actually worth, and it's far more common than people think. By late 2023, nearly 1 in 4 buyers were upside down on their loan, meaning someone might owe $40,000 on a vehicle worth $30,000. That $10,000 gap doesn't disappear. It gets quietly rolled into the next loan. So when someone trades in their car after 3 years because they're bored, or because the dealership convinces them they deserve an upgrade, they're not just buying a new car, they're dragging the debt from their old car into the new one, like financial luggage they can't drop. And dealerships love this. It creates lifetime customers who are locked into a cycle they never escape. Every time they trade in, the loan grows, every car gets more expensive, every monthly payment stretches their budget thinner. They're not building equity, they're building a financial snowball rolling downhill, faster and faster. And while they think they're getting a fresh start, all they're really doing is taking out a new loan to pay off an old mistake, then repeating it until they can no longer breathe. This is how ordinary people end up making payments for 8 years on cars they no longer drive, or never fully owned in the first place. And the worst part? Most people don't realize they're in trouble until it's already too late. But this isn't even the most painful part, because the real financial damage doesn't show up until you calculate the true cost of owning that affordable car sitting in the showroom. Here's where the numbers finally expose how much damage this normal car habit is doing to your wallet, because the sticker price you see on a car is basically a lie. It's the beginning of the bill, not the end. Take a popular everyday vehicle, something that looks affordable on the lot. The moment you drive it away, you instantly lose 10 to 15% of its value before you even make it home. Over 5 years, that depreciation alone quietly drains thousands of dollars money you will never recover. Then insurance jumps into the picture, and for most people, that's thousands more every year, especially if you're young or have anything less than a perfect driving record. Fuel costs pile on top hundreds every month just to keep the engine alive. Financing adds another layer, because unless you paid cash, you're paying thousands in interest just for the privilege of borrowing money for something that loses value every single day. And maintenance? That's another financial landmine people underestimate. Oil changes, brake pads, sensors, tires, small repairs, they add up shockingly fast. Then the surprise expenses show up, the ones nobody plans for: transmission issues, electrical problems, engine repairs, any of which can hit you with a $1,000 bill at the worst possible time. Add registration fees, taxes, and routine servicing, and suddenly that affordable car you thought cost $28,000 ends up costing closer to $45,000 or even $50,000 over 5 years. And here's the gut punch. When all that's done, the car you spent all that money on is worth maybe a third of what you paid. You've essentially traded tens of thousands of dollars for a vehicle that slowly turns into a depreciating metal box sitting in your driveway. Meanwhile, that same monthly payment, invested consistently in the stock market or used to build a side hustle, could have grown into actual wealth instead of evaporating into the asphalt. This is the hidden opportunity cost nobody thinks about, and it's the reason so many people stay broke while believing their car payment is no big deal. Here's the part that really separates wealthy people from everyone else. They understand that every dollar going into a car is a dollar not building their future. That's why the smartest path isn't to swear off cars, it's to buy in a way that keeps you out of the car poor trap forever. The first rule is finding the sweet spot. A reliable 3 to 4 year old vehicle with sensible mileage. At that age, someone else has already eaten the brutal depreciation hit, but you still get a modern, safe, dependable car for thousands less. The second rule is the 15% rule, your total transportation cost, including payment, insurance, fuel, and basic repairs, should never swallow more than 15% of your monthly take-home income. Go above that and you're not driving a car, the car is driving you. And here's the rule, almost nobody follows. Keep the car for at least 10 years. That's where wealth is built quietly. The first few years feel normal, but once the loan is gone and you refuse to upgrade, that freed up money becomes a wealth-building machine. The average person jumps into a new loan just because they're bored with their car. The wealthy let boredom pass and let their money compound. Saving an extra $300 a month and investing it consistently can turn into over $100,000 in 10 to 15 years money that could fund a down payment, a business, rental property, or an emergency cushion that transforms your entire financial life. The truth is, avoiding the car poor trap doesn't require sacrifice, it requires strategy. Once you stop chasing the illusion of looking successful and start making decisions that actually build success, everything in your financial life gets easier. Your stress drops, your savings rise, and your future finally starts working for you instead of against you. If you want the next video to walk you step by step through how to set up your first investment account or choose the right index fund, hit subscribe, drop a like, and let me know in the comments. I've got you covered.